When can the police use force against you? This is a very common question I get asked. So this post explores when the police use of force on you is lawful and when it is unlawful, and what you can do if you consider the police use of force against you to be unlawful. From the statistics, there are three groups of people who are particularly impacted by the police use of force. One, young people, who account for about half of the use of police force instances. Two, males, who account for 80% of police use of force instances. And three, according to the statistics, account for use of force tactics involve people from a black ethnic group at a rate of 3.3 times higher than those from a white ethnic group in police force areas in England and Wales, excluding the Met Police. There are so many circumstances when the police do use force referred to in police guidance as conflict situations. These include the police handcuffing people during a police stop and search, the police using a public order shield or police baton during a protest, the police releasing a police dog to capture a runaway suspect, the police using an irritant spray to a reported disturbance in a home, the police escorting a suspect by the arm to a police vehicle, the police holding down a detainee's fingers to take their fingerprints, the police using a spit guard on a detainee in a police station, and the police aiming or using police-issued firearms or tasers to make the critical shot. Now, it's important to state not all police use of force is legal. So when is the police use of force on you lawful and when is it unlawful? And what can you do if the police use what you consider to be unlawful use of force on you? To answer the first question, the law on the police use of force centers on four main principles to determine whether the use of force was lawful. 1, legitimacy. 2, necessity. 3, proportionality. And 4, all underpinned by the fourth principle, justification. The first principle to determine whether the police use of force on you was lawful is legitimacy. This means the police can only use force on you for a lawful police objective as defined by law. The main lawful police objectives are defined in three key pieces of law. 1, to make an arrest or help make an arrest of someone who is committing a crime or suspected of committing a crime, and to prevent a crime as per Section 3 of the Criminal Law Act 1967. 2, in self-defense or in defense of another person, or to protect property as per common law. And 3, to use reasonable force in the execution of a police power as per Section 117 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984. The police, therefore, cannot use force for the following objectives: because they don't like you and to make you compliant, or to teach you manners because you have been lippy with them, or out of revenge for a past conflict situation, or solely based on your race, age, or sex. The second principle to determine whether the police use of force on you was lawful is necessity. This means the police can only use force if they believe it is genuinely needed in the circumstances. That police belief must be an honest and reasonable one to hold, even if it is ultimately mistaken. And that police belief can be based on what you say or do, or based on intel the police hold about you. Furthermore, the principle of necessity means the police use of force must be as a last resort, not the first, and therefore the police must consider alternatives before they use force on you. So, for example, where it is reasonable and practicable in the situation and circumstances for the police to issue a warning and order you to do or not do an action, they must do so before using a taser against you. The third principle to determine whether the police use of force on you was lawful is proportionality. This means the police use of force must only be the minimum required to achieve their lawful police objective and not be excessive. So, for example, once an arrested person is fully restrained and taken to ground, no further force, such as continuing to use pressure points, must be used against you. And finally, the lawfulness of the police use of force is determined and underpinned by the fourth principle, justification. This means the police constable must be able to A. Justify what was the police objective to use force on you as defined by law in the circumstances. B. Justify why it was necessary to use force against you in the circumstances. And C. Justify why the use of force was a proportionate and not excessive response against you in the circumstances. Remember, each use of force must be justified. So, for example, if a police officer discharges a firearm against you, a number of bullets, each bullet must be justified, not the first bullet. In summary, this means the police use of force would be considered unlawful if one or more of the following four principles were not followed. The police did not use force for a lawful police objective as defined by the law. The police use of force was not necessary. The police use of force was not a proportionate response. And the police are unable to justify each and every police use of force against you. If you believe the use of police force against you was unlawful, consider taking urgent legal advice on the best course of action, as each case is fact-specific and different. Possible actions against the police could be 1. Making a police complaint for what it's worth. 2. Taking civil action against the police constable. And 3. Pursuing criminal prosecutions against the police constable for assaulting you or for a far worse crime. Stay informed, know the law, follow and subscribe to Community Legal Education for more. Thank you for watching, and may the justice be with you.